Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at our player props video for today on Monday night slate here. Make sure you do check out Nate's great article up on playpicks.com with some of those best bets and player props as well in there for you. To check out those other couple of videos we have up for you today, make sure to like and subscribe to that page as always. And if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for these play props for the night. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I think we have to start with where people I'm sure are looking for early lines to come up is Kyrie Irving. Is he playing in Portland? Apparently he is, and the props are up at just 19.5 points or 23.5 points and assists. He looked fantastic in his season debut. He's the kind of guy who does not need a lot of time to get his game on track. 22 points and 4 assists, played 32 minutes, had a usage rate near 29%. It was a plus 16 for the Nets. They really need him is the key thing here. I mean, Durant, very tired at this point. James Harden still struggling at this point in his season. So they're going to feel great about Kyrie being a part-time player and having a high usage rate in these road games. And this is a matchup against Portland where the Nets are projected to score 119 points. If you're talking about Kyrie shooting 30% of the time or more, he's on the floor. And this is a career 45% field goal shooter. He shot over 50%. His return, 20 points seems like a pretty easy bet here. His last 3 against Portland, he's averaging 30.7 along with 4 assists. He's got a 34% usage rate in that. And even more efficient in the last 2 there once he became a member of the Nets, where once again, they're letting him work with 36 minutes per game in those games, going head to head with a Portland team that's always been really bad defending point guards. And that's with Damian Lillard in the lineup. He won't play tonight. So Kyrie gets to play against Anthony Simons and some other young guys who don't have, as much experience for sure. And then also, you got to think about it from his perspective as a part-time player. He gets to play at Chicago in 2 nights, which is going to be another intriguing one to watch. And then he's off the rest of the week. So why not play 36 minutes? Why not go hard and give your guys some rest before they go back to Brooklyn?
Exactly. That was my first thought too, is even if this game, because once you hear Dame Lillard's out, you worry about a blowout and where, you start seeing guys sit in the fourth quarter. But why would you sit Kyrie right now at any point? I mean, obviously, if it gets pretty out of control to like a 20-point game in the fourth, sure, take him out. But if you're up by 15 going into the fourth quarter, play him the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, put that thing away, and who cares, right? Because he's one of, like you said, he's a part-time player. If you look at his home road splits, now he doesn't have those obviously this season. He just has road split numbers, but at any rate, his road numbers in his career as well. A guy who's never afraid of the moment, loves playing on the road, just has averaged a ton, even in the playoffs, has averaged a ton of road points where he's been even better at times. So, I have no problem taking Kyrie to get 20 points tonight, minus 120. I'm not going to mess around. Just go ahead and hit that one here in a minute. And then another point guard, 2-guard, point guard, whatever you want to call Donnie Mitchell, same style as Kyrie. But, Donnie Mitchell is somebody who, whenever we see Utah playing without Rudy Gobert, such as the case tonight for them, you feel kind of good about that. Even playing against a team like Detroit, who's really bad as well. But, when Rudy's out for Utah, Donnie Mitchell does step up his game all over the court. Tonight for him at 34.5 points and assists is what we're looking at, minus 125 for your money on FanDuel there. But, I like what he does without Rudy, as we said in their last game where they did lose to the Pacers, but he was without Rudy in that one, went for 36 points and 9 assists on about a 37.5% usage rate. And when he plays Detroit, he's been really, really good as well. In his last 6 versus them, averaging 27, 4 rebounds and 2.5 assists in that time frame with a 30% usage rate. And he's actually hit 4 triples in the last 2 times he's played against them, which is, the bet up there for his 3-pointers made is all the way up to 3.5. But it gets you plus 105 on your money. And, Detroit's a pretty bad team defensively, especially guarding that 3-point line. They're allowing the 4th highest 3-point percentage to their opponents, which is actually up to 40% and over in their last 3 games. And they average, they allow a ton of assists as well to their opponent. 31, almost 32 assists in their last 3 each game that they played on average there. So that that would be easily the worst in the league, giving up 32 assists. It's a ton. So I think, either way, points and assists, I really like that at minus 125. I think he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton, looking to score and distribute. But you would consider at least sprinkling something on a bet that gets you slightly better than even money for him to hit 4 threes, where he's averaging about 10.5 attempts from three when Gobert is not playing, as you see them really need to go outside more than in, obviously, without their big man. So I think you consider a lot of good stuff coming for Donnie Mitchell tonight with he's going to have the ball in his hands as much as he will.
Yeah, it's a more threes, more assists situation, more perimeter play from Mitchell just to adjust without their big man there. And with the thing is, when you look at the odds and you see Donovan Mitchell's 6 assists in a win is negative money at FanDuel, then so we're expecting the Jazz to win, obviously, but we're expecting 6 assists. So now you're telling me his prop of 34.5 points and assists is very attainable if he's going to get even his usual 27 against this team. So seems like a nice conservative bet there. The 76ers, still one of the hottest offenses in the league. A couple ways you can approach this as they go to Houston. Joel Embiid went off for a triple-double when they played this team last Monday, but Christian Wood was suspended in that game. Originally looking at the Embiid under because of that, saying, Wood will come back and put the clamps up. But I am not taking a Joel Embiid under right now. He's had 31-plus points in 6 straight games. What I do think, though, is that the Sixers will use a little bit more of Seth Curry, who's been very impressive over his last 3 with Jake Milton, Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, and even backups Isaiah Joe and Jaden Springer, either in protocol or injured. Not sure how many of those guys will be back tonight, but it's still Seth Curry's show to run with Embiid as that kind of new JJ Redick in their little dribble handoff game. He's really stepped up as a distributor with 8 assists in his last 3, also getting 6.5 rebounds and 19 points per game. But his props stay pretty low because he's not known as a guy who fills the box score. It's 25.5 for the PRA or 21.5 for points assists, which is where I would lead there. And then also to hit 3 triples at even money against a Houston team that gives up 14 per game. That's giving up 127 points per game in their last 5. And Curry slightly better on the road in terms of his scoring, 16.5, and more assists, 4.5 assists per game when Philly hits the road. And they're clicking on all cylinders right now and facing a really bad defense.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, Seth Curry, shout out to my guy Ian on Twitter who hit me up on last week asking about Seth Curry's rebounds and assist prop in a game that he was playing because he's been so hot lately, averaging actually about 12 rebounds and assists combined in his last 5 games. So he's doing it all over the place. But I think you're right on to just go ahead and hit his points and assists if you like. If you want the points, rebounds, and assists as well, it's also minus 120 on FanDuel at about 26.5. So I like that as well, considering, like you said, he's been getting those ancillary stats for this team, especially with all their other guards out, guys like Milton and Maxey, who are good rebounding guards as well. So I feel good about taking Seth Curry tonight. In the last over we're taking, because next up for me is going to be an under for our guy Jaylen Brown. His point prop is at 23.5 points. If you take under that, it's about even money, minus 105 there. And 23.5 doesn't seem like a ton for a guy who at one point in the season was actually averaging about 26. But he's playing a game tonight where, once again, something we talked about in the video with the C's, Jason Tatum's in, and that doesn't always spell great news for Jaylen Brown, as we know this team doesn't really share the ball very well, getting almost no assists. But his usage rate is really what we're looking at here. Once everybody's back, like Tatum, and who takes that the bulk of those shots for this team, his usage rate over 5 games before, when a ton of guys were out, including Tatum in and out of the lineup, was at about 37.5%. Very high, obviously, and then all the way back down to about 27% when they played the Knicks twice in a row. And everybody was back for those games. So, once he gets to that point of needing the ball too much and it doesn't come his way, you kind of see him just kind of pout at that point and get out of the game. He's also not very good against Indy, and he's played them plenty of times. He's scored under 23 points every time in 12 career meetings versus Indy, averaging about 13 points a game in that time frame on about a 22% usage rate. So, once all these things combine to make me feel really good about Jaylen Brown not being able to get 24 points tonight, we also do like the under in this one. It should be noted, which is a pretty low under for this year. It's 213.5 for these two teams, and still don't think there's going to be a ton of points in this one as they've both been playing at a complete snail's pace. And yeah, Jaylen Brown continuing to be sort of the victim of the fact that this team can't really share the ball very well, and they have a superstar in Jason Tatum that's going to be their 1A pretty much forever at this point.
Yeah, it's an awkward fit at the moment, and you just see the numbers drop off a cliff in his career from 27 points per game without Tatum to 17.5. The usage rate drops by 9 or 10%. And at home, Jaylen has been much less efficient this year with a 102 offensive rating versus 108 on the road. Indiana, as long as they have Miles Turner in the paint, it's hard to get much going down there, and have some pretty athletic wings to throw at Jaylen Brown as well, and clearly know how to defend him, considering he has not ever gotten to 23 points in this matchup. It seems like it would be a surprising time for that to hit right now.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a under in there for our guy Andy Prince. Shout him out on Twitter as well. But either way, that is all the time we have for today in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page and check out those other couple videos we have on this little slate for you on Monday night. Until we see you next, happy betting.